Buddy, I'm AF Gogito, and I'm bringing you guys the remake of my previous What if AF Gogito was in Dragon Ball. Now, I know, I did make this What If, but I decided to make a remake of it. I took some inspiration from Secret Saiyan, but I decided that now I'm gonna do my own variation and much more different than the original one. Now, as I explained to you guys, if Gogeta in that timeline was born with every potential of every being. Well, in this timeline, if Gogeta would be a legendary Saiyan known as a Cosmic Saiyan, a Saiyan born from the supernova, a Saiyan who is born with the power to rival even the strongest and even higher gods. Even someone as strong as Emoshi was an ancestor of that Saiyan. That's why he was easily able to achieve Super Saiyan God. But unlike some other timelines, this scene would have been one in a millennia, meaning that this scene will only appear one in a million years, and it's rarely that occurs because only 10% that a scene can become like this. So it's a much more rare to be encountered throughout the timelines and the multiverse, which is an impressive feat. The Cosmic Saiyan would have been known as the strongest being and much more powerful as well. And eventually, this Saiyan would have been born in Universe 7 of one of the multiverses. This Saiyan would have been known as Kakarot or Gogito, as we will call him. Of course, Gogito would have been the most powerful Saiyan, but his ki is naturally a combination of every ki that exists. It possesses the potential of the cosmic force, which is an incredibly intense power that allows him to connect to everything in the multiverse and access any form he desires with ease and master it. And his potential is completely limitless, allowing him to grow as strong as he wants, no matter what. These are proof that this Saiyan is one of the most powerful ones. Of course, due to his skin being unsensible, nor even can be detected, his power level stated to be zero. But little did anyone knew that in based on this child was as strong as a Super Saiyan God Yamoshi. Of course, first, of course, hearing about a baby who was born with a power of zero, which would kind of be scared because he knows about a legend about the Super Saiyan God, but he also knows about some type of legend known as a Cosmic Saiyan. So Frieza, after destroying Planet Vegeta, like in the original, he still decides to actually train so he cannot be faced by this threat. He decides to also train Vegeta and Nappa. Alongside Raditz is a train with Frieza. Of course, Vegeta is disgusted by the idea, but knowing that he'll get stronger to defeat Frieza, he starts to accept that. But little that Vegeta knew is Frieza was using him to get stronger, so he can defeat Gogito. Gogito, of course, would then been sent outer space, but before he could actually reach Earth, the Grand Priest would have stopped his pod and eventually would smile, seemingly as he is finally able to encounter the Cosmic Saiyan once again. He remembers the first Cosmic Saiyan who told the Grand Priest that when another Cosmic Saiyan is born, he wants the Grand Priest to teach him everything he knows. With the Grand Priest, of course, taking it after the Cosmic Saiyan died. The previous Cosmic Saiyan could only live for at least 10,000 years. So that's why he died at that time of age and told the Grand Priest to be careful. Eventually, the Grand Priest would have taken Gogito and named him Gogito himself. He also would have given a black-blue clothing, which would suit Gogito himself. Gogito would kind of look like Gogeta, but he would also have the appearance of Vegeta himself, as he would have been named Gogito. Goju would then been training by the Grand Priest. Of course, the Grand Priest decided to also send Goju to Earth so he can be taken care of by humans so he can learn to live a normal life. And Goju is able to quickly learn everything, from the basics of ki control to all the way up to controlling his ki to a point that he can suppress it to zero. He most likely will also be able to learn how to suppress his ki and utilize God Ki, which will most likely put him in an even higher pace than some of the gods of destruction, mean that he will most likely be even stronger than Beerus at this type of age of 12. He most likely will also be able to destroy the Red Ribbon army. Of course, Dro's still able to survive by some chance, but it's just a slim and he's incredibly injured. Most of the events of Dragon Ball will still go the same, except that Gogito is easier to take out the threats. But of course, grows a crush on Gogito, but she decides to keep it a secret from him. Eventually, Gogito returns to the Grand Priest and trains with him for the rest of the years. Of course, King Piccolo is no threat, but he was able to do a wish that allowed him to actually unlock his potential to absolute limits, which of course Shenron was able to do so. And eventually, Gojo was able to defeat King Piccolo in base due to his power being a lot higher, but Piccolo Jr. trained even harder than his father. But so did Gogito as he trained with the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest was able to teach Goju the basics of the original God forms that he knows, like Super Saiyan God and the others. Of course, Goju was able to learn all the basics of Super Saiyan God to 4 to even 3 as well. He was also able to reach Blue and master it, even control most of his transformation like the base state. He can also utilize most of his transformation base, and he's also able to learn Master Ultra Instinct and increase its level beyond that of the Grand Priest. The Grand Priest is only a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of Gojo's power. And Gojo is even stronger than the Grand Priest, and his power is almost closes the gap between him and Zalama. And Zalama is the strongest and boundless being in the entire Dragon Ball. That's why Gojo is this strong. Gojo, of course, sometimes plays with Zeno, but he is also able to learn the basics of Omni Ki. He cannot utilize it just yet, but he is able to do the basics of it. Eventually, after a couple of years, the Saiyans will still arrive on Earth. Of course, in this timeline, Raz is much stronger. In base, he has a power level of 120 billion, but Gojo, in separate his base form, has a power level of 1 quintillion, which is even more powerful than Raz himself. Of course, Raz tries to convincing Gojo that he must join him, but Gojo kindly refuses. If only in this timeline Gojo would have married Bulma, and Piccolo still became a good guy due to being able to be defeated by Gogito, since his power is way higher than that of Piccolo, and Piccolo respects Gogito. Of course, Raz will irritate is your power up to Super Saiyan 3, trying to convince his brother that it's no use on fighting him since he's much stronger, but Gogito is easier to overpower Raz and showing the difference in power. Just in base, Gojo is easier to overpower Raditz. Of course, Gojo decides to spare Raz and eventually train him. Gojo also trains with Kami and eventually learns that he can actually create a Dragon Balls on his own. Due to his potential being that of cosmic energy, the cosmic energy is practically balanced with everything in every timeline, allowing practically Gojo to access to any ability of any race he desires. So he'll most likely able to create the cosmic Dragon Balls, which are the most powerful and strongest Dragon Balls to ever exist. Those Dragon Balls is so powerful that even the Super Dragon Balls pale in comparison to their power. Due to this, the Cosmic Dragon Balls are one of the most powerful things in existence. So if Gogito decided to make sure that to spread through all the timelines if they were to be used, so nobody can actually get them. Of course, Goju will still have his son Gohan, since he would decide to name him after the man who took care of him for the most of the time. Of course, Gojo trains with Raditz and Gohan. It's time to train them both so they can increase their power. Raditz is able to learn the basic of the God Key and eventually learn Super Saiyan God thanks to the training with Gogito. Gohan can already use Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 with little to no difficulty and is able to achieve Super Saiyan God Blue and Blue 2 with no difficulty thanks to his potential being higher. If you're wondering, Gohan's potential is not higher than Gogito because Gogito's cosmic potential is only natural to him, but Gohan's potential is immensely stronger than any other Gohan, so that proves him to be the strongest Gohan in every timeline. He will be known as Cosmic Gohan or just Gohan. Of course, with Gohan's constant training, he will continue to train and increase his power with his father and uncle. Of course, when the Saiyans arrive, Vegeta wouldn't show his new power, which would be known as Super Saiyan 4, a form he was able to achieve because he did not get his tail cut like Raditz from Frieza. Of course, the Super Saiyan 4 is able to put up a side challenge against Raditz in his Super Saiyan 3, but when Raditz uses Super Saiyan God, he's easily able to overpower Vegeta, so he's showing the difference in their power. But of course, Gojo is kind of impressed by Vegeta's power. But Vegeta tells Gojo that Vegeta's power is even higher than all them combined. Of course, Gojo will be pretty interested in that knowledge, and he tells Vegeta to tell him more, as Vegeta tells him that Frieza may have become the strongest, even more stronger than Beerus himself. Gojo is kind of interested in that information and tells Vegeta to explain more. Vegeta explains that Frieza was able to achieve at least 5 more transformations, not to become so strong that maybe he can take on almost everyone in the multiverse. If you're wondering, Frieza was able to use another set of Dragon Balls to learn about some things, or just use some type of information to run multiple planets. Eventually, of course, Gojo will be kind of interested and decided that he'll face off against Frieza. Of course, Vegeta thinks that it's a suicide, but he decides to go with Vegeta as Vegeta trains both Nappa and Vegeta, teaching him the basics of God Ki and how to utilize it in the interest of Super Saiyan God and below. and they're all able to master it as they grow in stronger. Goju has not shown any transformation ever since he has battled with Raditz, since his power is way beyond of them. But Goju is still able to get much more powerful after just training with them. Even though they're comparatively weaker than him, his potential allows him to grow even slightly stronger, even with just a limited amount of training. But guys, it's the end of this part. See you guys in the next one. Sign on, my Z fans. See you next time.